the tale of two halves being the kind of the ultimate theme here for this game. First half, obviously 17 points, lit up a lot of big plays. Secondary, it just seemed like there's a lot of like lapses out there. I don't know if it was miscommunication. I don't know what it was, but Josh Palmer getting free, Kennan getting free on like crossing routes. Just a lot of stuff going on in the secondary. Second half, obviously, 0 points allowed. 5 sacks, I think most, if not all, came in the second half of that game. Omenihu, obviously, we're going to get in more in depth in Charles Omenihu. Charles in charge. Omenihu's sack, Mike Dana with the sack, George Karlaftis with the sack, Drew Tranquil with the sack, Willie Gay with the sack, 2 interceptions, L'Jarius Sneed, and then Brian Cook with the game. Well, the game was over at that point anyway, but that pick at the end. Another game, another multi-interception game. We don't really get many of those guys. So it's a big deal that we were able to come up and do this today, especially second half, to kind of close out the game and pretty much not let the Chargers know that they can come back in this game. There was never even a time where like Chargers were driving the second half or like there was a little bit of life left back in them. After that Josh Kelly touchdown, man, you never saw it again. There was no life back into that team again. So what were your thoughts on the defense and what we did as far as disrupting them? Talk about the tale of two halves, not really doing anything in the first half and the second half. But what was your overall thoughts on that?
First, let me say that was the least amount of points we've held the Chargers to since 2019. So that's off the bat. That's pretty cool. As much as I want to just like go nuts over the pass rush and how dominant it was and how refreshing it is just to see a different guy look like he's dominating that series. And it wasn't just a Chris Jones game, like, right? I mean, obviously he takes up a lot of attention to help other people get, single coverage and whatnot. But the job we did in the secondary, I think, led to a lot of that. Herbert had nowhere to go for a lot of those. The job we did, especially on Keenan Allen, was incredible. I did some digging into that too. Lowest yardage against us, or lowest yardage he's had against us since 2017.
Wow.
Lowest catches of his career against us in that game.
No shit.
Yeah. Its lowest before that was 5 several times. Never had, as far as I saw, never had a 4 against, less than 5 against us.
Damn.
Herbert 2 picks. I mean, Omenihu was, when I was watching, because that's the thing about our defense. There's so many guys to watch. Like, I can't long gone are the days where we have like 1 or 2 guys to key in on and everyone else is like, all right, just try not to look that way and you won't get too upset. But even Romo called it out a lot. A lot of our sacks were just coverage sacks because our guys just had lockdown. Love the 5 sacks, obviously. Love that Tranquil got a sack against his former team. That was
he was going nuts in that, especially specifically the second half of that game. Yeah, you could tell he was going against his old team.
Well, we might be leaning on him a lot more because they were saying Bolton was screaming in pain on the way into the locker room. So that's fun to have. Hopefully, just hoping for good news there. I saw that he was grabbing his jersey right there when he was going down, and then someone fell on. So it might have just gotten jammed up there. But again, hoping for the best.
Depending on what that break is, and we've seen in the past, we've seen guys like Patrick Willis put the club on and just it's a badass look. I don't know. I mean, guys have done it. I don't know what the injury is severity-wise. We're going to find out hopefully tomorrow maybe. And
Bolton looks like a club guy.
Yeah, Bolton's old school. I could see definitely Bolton rocking a club, Patrick Willis style. I do agree. Like the way the defense kind of came out and just it looked like first half was kind of, I don't know what it was exactly. It looked like we were kind of letting Chargers hang on the game for whatever reason, whether it was schematically, I don't know what it was. But defensively, it was like it went from kind of turn back the clock a little bit. It was like 2018 Chiefs, and then first half, and then second half, 2023 Chiefs. I mean, that's the defense that we have this year, and this is the defense that it is. And I think it was after the game, the CBS crew was saying like this defense is for real. And it's also funny when the CBS crew saying that Bill Cowher's right there. Bill Cowher, of course, is part of our 90s special defenses that we had back in the day with DT and them. So, yeah, I mean, like, across the board, like you said, it's not just one guy. We're not just looking at Chris Jones. We're not just looking at Nick Bolton. We got Willie Gay, Drew Tranquil, Karlaftis, Omenihu now. I mean, it's honestly, like, it's special, man. We haven't had it. We've talked about this before. We haven't had a defense like this in so long. But now we got guys across the board. Defense, and then Sneed, Cook, Mike Edwards, a guy I've been praising since we got him. I thought that was an underrated signing. And
he almost had the 3rd pick.
He almost had the 3rd pick. Yeah. Every game he's attacking the ball. He's almost actually getting a pick. If you look at, I think he should have at least 3 or 4 interceptions this year based on where he's at and playing the ball. He's just a ball hawk. That was kind of what his thing was when he came over, and really seeing that so far. Was there anything that stuck out to you? Just looking at the offense and looking at the defense in the first half. What do you think was kind of the deal? Because it looked like there's a lot of miscommunication in the secondary there. We had guys getting late getting over top. I mean, Palmer was running free on one of the bombs he had. I was like, what's going on here? And there was a couple broken plays like that in the first half. Did you notice anything? I mean, obviously we don't have JD here to kind of break down the X's and O's with us tonight because for anybody who's listening and didn't watch the show this week, JD's at the game celebrating the OG, one of the best kick return man of all time in Dante Hall. He was inducted in the Ring of Honor at halftime today. JD was there. Our guy EW Warfield was there. A lot of the old school guys were at the game tonight. But yeah, what did you make of what they did to us offensively in the first half?
Well, they had the first punt and then the field goal, and then they had 2 touchdowns, right? I think that's how it went for them. In the 2 touchdown drives, they weren't like turnover in the red zone. They had like the 20-yard drive, right? They actually drove on us a good amount. I'm not JD. What I think is, I think we were putting a lot of emphasis on stopping Keenan Allen, which I think the key is the Chargers, Keenan Allen and Eckler. Eckler was a little gimpy in that game, but it looked like we just kind of left Palmer open there while we were trying to take Eckler and Keenan Allen completely out of the game, which we did. Eckler had I have him in fantasy. He had his worst fantasy game of the season. Okay, that won. And so did Keenan Allen. So, like, if I'm going to go into a game, if I'm going to say Palmer's got to beat us for us to lose the game, then so be it. What I don't want is 200+ yards from total yards from Eckler, and I don't want one of those 12 catch 140-yard games from Keenan Allen. So if that was their game plan, I think they could have done a little better job, and they fixed it up, right? So I mean, Palmer went wild in the first half, second half not so much. So.
Yeah, and I'll say this: that offense, which is a pretty explosive offense, they just didn't look good. I mean, obviously we shut them down the second half of the game, but like they just didn't look good. Herbert looked rattled. I know he's dealing with the left, the middle finger on his left hand, a fractured finger, but like, I mean, all guys are dealing with aches and pains. And it's not his throwing hand, so it doesn't affect his throwing motion at all. But like, yeah, I mean, we just clamped him up. But let's talk about one specific.
They scored 17 last week too. That's 2 weeks in a row for them at 17.
Yeah, something's got to give there. I mean, if they continue to lose like this, we might see everyone's been talking about Brandon Staley getting fired. We might see Brandon Staley get fired sooner rather than later if they continue to lose, especially like this, going scoreless in the second half of games and being a defensive coach and not being able to stop offenses, making Dak have his best game of the season, the Chiefs' best game offensively this season, although they did a good job in the second half.
They did. They adjusted pretty well, actually. We broke it open, but I think it was their offense's turn to kind of make up for, all the stuff that happened. I think they should have came back and done a little more in that third quarter when their defense actually did their job. But.
Yeah, no, I agree. So we're gonna go into Charles Omenihu, the guy who everyone's been saying for this is week 1 of the season. Just wait till Charles comes back, and this is before we thought we were gonna have the top 5 defense that we do have, but it was wait till Charles gets back. Wait till Charles gets back. Wait till Charles gets back. First game. This guy, right off the bat, talking about, looking at the defense, there's guys that stand out when you watch games and just looking at it right away, you're like, who's number 90? You kind of right away are like, who's that guy? That guy is a difference maker. Not knowing anything. Let's say you're just an alien and dropped in and watched the Chiefs game for the first time. Right away, you're going to be like, who's number 90? That guy is something special. And his stats tonight, and I don't know what his snap count was. I know they were kind of going to give him a little rotation tonight. And obviously, most of these the D-line guys, there's rotation involved. But his numbers: 1 sack, 1 pass deflection, which led to the L'Jarius Sneed interception.
Yep.
2 QB hits. He was involved. I mean, I don't know what his pressure number was tonight. So it was very high. I mean, he was getting back there pretty good. But Charles in charge, man. I've been saying it all week. Charles in charge against the Chargers, and he did his thing tonight. I mean, I want to hear from everybody in the chat and comments. What was everyone's initial impressions of the debut of Charles Omenihu? And of course, you guys watching, let's smash the like button, subscribe to Chief Concerns if you're new to the Chief Concerns channel. But Teja, was Charles Omenihu everything you thought we were going to get with a guy that came from San Francisco? The edge factor, because that's also another thing too. A lot of people were like, okay, is Omenihu going to be this guy? Is he going to bring over what he brought from San Francisco, or is that just kind of kind of a scheme they have over there, because it seems like any edge rusher they put out in San Francisco dominates. And then coming over here and doing what he did today, like just on a limited snap count after the first game, after 6 weeks. I mean, this kid's the real deal. And him with paired with Chris Jones playing inside, outside. It's honestly, it's special. It really is.
And we can, I think we can thank the suspension for the contract we got him for. But you know what? It was totally worth the wait. And I said to myself a couple of times during the game, so glad we have him for 2 years? That's right, the 2-year deal?
2-year deal, yeah.
Okay, well worth the money we gave him. Suspension even, don't care. We held it down while he was gone. It's funny we're saying we held it down while Omenihu was gone. But it's incredible because we have so many guys now that can take up different positions on the D line on different downs. Like Omenihu can play inside, outside. The amount of attacks and blitzes now that Spags can have with Omenihu, Jones, pressure's completely off FAU now to perform. Like, you know what, man? Just like come in really fresh. If there's an injury, you come in fresh on certain pass downs if we need you. But like, you know, pressure's completely off him. Omenihu can rush from the D tackle. He can rush from the end. Jones can also do the same. It's incredible. I mean, we have so many guys that can get there. And I was going to say this earlier when we were talking about the defense, and it's come to a point where, like, when you have a really high-paid guy like Chris Jones, who's like we said, this Mahomes for the defense, right? A lot of times it's that really high-paid guy and a lot of guys around him. And you have to really hope you hit on those other guys. Like, and then it becomes, oh man, we have to be the highest percentage we can have of hitting on guys with Chris Jones. That's how good we do on defense. We've hit on most of the guys, acquisitions, draft picks. That's why it's like it's all coming at once, like how dominant this defense actually is. Not that I'm like waiting for it to kind of pull back a bit, but I keep going into every game against a decent offense or the Chargers are a good offense and being like, all right, I'm not going to fault them if they give up like 24, 30 points. Like they've been dominant every game this year. You're going to have a letdown game. I thought this would be kind of a letdown game as far as how much they'd give up. I thought the Chargers would have more than that. And they keep coming every week and they keep getting better and better and better. We were missing Charles already. To have him back and doing this now, it's just like, man, like I can't even think of that many defensive players that we haven't hit on in the last couple of years as far as acquisition, signings, and draft picks.
You could make the argument of Frank Clark. His numbers really never matched the contract that he got.
That's more than 3 years, though. That was like 5. Well, it was like 5 years ago at this point, right?
Yeah.
A while ago.
But and I'm not knocking him because postseason he came to play. Yeah. Regular season, I think his postseason numbers actually overall were better than his regular season numbers, which is.
I'll say his money went to clutch play. How about that? Not consistent regular season stats. You're not going to look back and be like, dude, Frank Clark killed it for Kansas City. You have to be a Kansas City fan or like a huge NFL fan to know what Frank Clark did for us.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Casuals aren't going to know. Casuals are going to look at his Pro Football Reference and see his sacks and think he sucked.
That's it. Yeah,
which is fine. Like, but he did. But in the last like 2-3 years, I mean, they've all been big hits, man. I can't think of a bust pickup or we've had even for low money. Like Edwards wasn't signed for a lot. Tranquil wasn't signed for a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, none of the guys we signed defensively were big money. Besides Omenihu, I think was a bargain. To be quite honest with you.
Oh, great.
That's not big money at all.
Like we don't have any guys. I'm yelling even during good years. By the way, I've had guys. I'm not going to name names. You could. I didn't have guys on this team. And I'm like, get him off the field. What's he doing out there? Like even good years, we were saying that about certain people.
Yeah.
I'm never saying that about anyone out there. Like Chanel tears it up when I see him out there. He makes a play almost every game. I wouldn't say he's a hard liability.
Chanel, no. I'm trying to think of guys that I have.
I thought you were giving a face to Chanel. But just in general, I just don't have guys that I'm like I complete liabilities. They hit. They all hit.
Yeah. I mean, the only ones that come to mind were Sorensen and Ben Neiman. Those are the only two guys. But we're going back a few years with that. But yeah, it's not as much as it is what it used to be.
No.
And we're talking about the versatility. That's the one thing that I love about this because there were some people online really pissed off that we cut Keandre Coburn. Denver picked him up.
I don't like that either, but
I don't like it either. But like Omenihu and Jones, King Felix, Dana, all these guys can play DT and DN. So it's obviously something that they and I don't know if we're like giving up on the having that plugger. I know we have Nadi there, but like, are we kind of doing away with the whole plugger? As long as you have just one on your team, you can just rotate everybody else. Everyone else is more of a pass rushing specialist that you could put inside and outside. Seems like Spags has got a little type for this, and this is the closest thing he's had to his New York Giants days. And and honestly, I hope he brings back that NASCAR defense. I don't know if anybody's in the chat right now played Madden back in the day. Because when you play with the Chiefs, that's at least what I did. I would change up my defensive playbook. I'd always put in the Giants playbook, and I would run the NASCAR defense with our team at that time. Obviously, we didn't have that plethora of pass rushes. We just had Justin Houston and Tamba. But I gotta say overall, like, it's Omenihu is all that and more. So I mean, it's one game sample size, but this guy missed 6 weeks. I was expecting, and JD said it on the show this week. He said he's gonna get one sack. Watch, he's gonna get one sack, and he did. And he almost got 2 more. But like overall, this is not what you saw today. And I know he wasn't injured or anything; it's just a suspension. But usually you see guys when they come back from a suspension, even though I mean they just don't look like ready. I mean, it's one thing to be in shape and be in game shape midway through the season. He was ready to go, ready
and be on
to
the same
go.
page, like playbook wise, assignments wise, right?
Yeah.
And like you even forgot when you're naming guys, Malik Herring's even showed up this year, right?
I know.
Dan has showed up this year. I mean, so we have like. It's funny when we let go of Coburn, a part of me was thinking like old school Chiefs with a lack of defensive line talent. Like, I can't believe we let him go. What are we thinking? We're not like that anymore. We're the team that can afford to let go of a talented, take a shot on defensive lineman type and like not be burned for it.
Yep.
So,
and plus, there's still rumors that we're going to bring in Frank Clark and also talk about having a plethora of pass rushers. If we do get Frank Clark, I mean, that's just another guy to have to rotate in there. I mean, he won't be getting the most amount of reps, but to spell Omenihu, and they say he might even go to practice squad, but like just to spell Omenihu, to spell Chris Jones when he plays at the edge spot, to spell like Karlaftis, just even having a veteran presence there, especially when we get to the playoffs, to have that kind of person. It's fun, man. I haven't had this much fun watching defense in a really long time. Like, yeah, we go 3 now, like, damn, 3 now. But like, all right, let's see what defense can do. What can they get for us? Put us in a good field position or whatnot. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.